My first notes is Mark's Watanabe must be protected at all costs. What a
It's
perfect human. Welcome to Books Just Wanna Have Fun, the podcast where we dive into the world of books and bring you honest reviews, insightful discussions, and a wheel spin full of randomness. I'm Pam.
and I'm Jen.
And I am Jessica. Today we're going to be rambling on about Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin.
All right, but before we get started, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on Spotify and follow us on Instagram and Threads at Books Just Wanna Have Fun with a period in between each word.
All right. We're going to dive into today's book, and I do just want to warn any listeners, this is going to be a spoiler-full podcast. If you want to read it, go read it, come back and listen to us another time. But we are going to be talking about Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. It is a literary fiction book, and it's a beautiful story about friendship that really just goes over many decades from children to adults and their ups and downs in that friendship and how their love of gaming is what has linked them together and brings them back over those decades.
I think this book
It's
was
true.
absolute art.
It was absolutely beautiful, and so I felt like I needed to give it a little something when we're introducing it.
So I'm curious. Why are they friends?
And that's what we're going to get into, because that's a big question as we go through it. Like, why are these people still friends after
Yes.
they deal with this?
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Why don't
But
before we even chat, why don't you give us your ratings? Because I think that'll be more fun.
yeah, I gave it a 4.5. I will get into later why it lost that 0.5.
Okay.
I gave it a 5. I have in the past given other books 5s, and I shouldn't have. This book, it was beautiful. The way each section was written differently, the cover art tying into the story, the title of the book tying into the story, everything about it was just a work of art.
So here's a curveball for you. I gave this book 3.5 stars.
Oh,
What?
okay.
Yeah, because I thought it was just all right.
Okay.
Of course, I was coming into it with because we're reading this a little late, right? Like this book has actually been out
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
not quite 2 years yet, but I think that it won like a book of the year or something like that in 2023. It
I will look it up.
It won something.
So if you're in Book of the Month Club, it did win Book of the Year for 2022, if that's what you're thinking.
Maybe, because I went into it with like really high expectations given that it won an award somewhere for being Book of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I left, having finished the book, I left a little bit thinking like, okay, but why was this one so special? Because it was fine, but I think that knowing that it won awards made me have a little bit more, like I expected more from it.
Okay. Give us some of your notes.
And do forgive me because we read this book a couple weeks ago. But so basically, it started with this young girl who is hanging out in a hospital because her sister is sick all the time. And she
Cancer.
she has cancer, and she but the little sister is Sadie is the little sister. The sister that's sick is Alice. So Sadie's in the hospital all the time, doesn't get a ton of attention because the parents are always with Alice, who's sick. And then Sadie ends up meeting in a room at the hospital a little boy named Sam. And I say little, what they were like 10. I can't remember.
Still little.
Yeah, they're little, and so
they're like middle school.
Sam has obviously been through some shit, and Sadie isn't quite sure what that is, but she ends up hanging out with Sam, and they form this friendship, bonding over video games that were in that little hospital room that they were spending time in together. And then at some point, my gosh, I can't remember. Was it like a nurse or something that came over to her and was like, "Hey,
Yes.
did you want to
Yeah.
start doing the, you finally got him to talk. That's so great." Because Sam, I guess, hadn't been talking after the accident that he had that brought him there, which you learn more about later. But yeah, the nurse came over and was like, "Hey, do you want to just start visiting more often? You can get like charity hours for this." And she was basically
Yeah.
like,
Which she
"Sure."
needed for her bat mitzvah.
Yeah, well, I
Correct.
don't think so. Well, from how I remember it, it's I think one of the nurses was surprised, but they went to her parents and were like,
Yes.
"Hey, can she come back? Like, we want to get him talking more." And then the parents were like, "Oh, you can get your charity hours for your bar mitzvah."
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but it was a nurse who like started this conversation because he hadn't spoken to
Mhm.
anyone in 6 weeks.
Yeah. And then
Right.
her parents were like, wow, look at you. Community
Yeah.
Yeah.
service.
Yep. And so then the book was really interesting the way that it was written, because even within a single chapter, the paragraphs were, or the sections were separated out by like narrator, if you will. So like even in the middle of a chapter you could like be reading from Sam's perspective, or then like after a gap um you'd
It's
be
more of
reading from
Sadie's. Yeah.
Sadie's perspective. Or yeah, and then some of them it was Sam when he was even younger and he was with his mother, or like um bounces all over the place. But for the sake of this specific timeline, Sadie racks up like however many hundreds of hours of hangout time with
I believe it
Sam,
was 600.
many hundreds of
Yes.
hours with
Yeah.
Sam. So she gets like, all the points that she needs and whatnot. But Sam doesn't realize that he has been effectively a
A
charity
charity
case.
case.
And when he finds that out, he gets real mad.
Hmm.
Uh, they don't communicate super well, which is, spoiler for me. One of the things I don't love. But they don't communicate really well. He gets real mad.
And they
He gets in.
continue to not communicate well
They
for the
continue to not
rest of the
communicate.
book.
He
Yes.
got like
Yeah.
invited to her bat mitzvah, decided not to go, and then basically from there it was like years before they saw each other
Yeah.
again
They didn't.
in the
Yeah.
train station or something. No, it was in Boston.
Yeah,
They were
it
down in the
was at
Yeah.
subway.
college in the subway.
I know.
Yeah.
I hated that part of the timeline because for Sadie, yes, that's how she started hanging out with Sam, and she did think, oh yeah, like he was somebody who also likes to play video games. I'm gonna go and hang out with him. So for her, it did start as something for charity to get those extra hours, those community service hours. But I think she genuinely did enjoy spending her time with him, and so she kept going for Sam. Like
Yeah, she
if
would have hung
she
out with him anyway.
yeah, she
Yeah.
just like she that's what got her
Yeah.
started. And I mean they're young enough, that it's hard to like how do you have that conversation about like, oh, by the way, like I started hanging out with you because of this, but now I think you're cool and we'll keep hanging out. That's a difficult conversation to have at their age.
Yeah, there
Well,
was
So
especially whereas she didn't think he would ever find out about the
exactly, yes,
hours. Yeah.
yeah,
except
And
I
he
and
was
think that
that that was her sister.
there was a couple of occasions where she thought maybe I should tell him
yes,
and then
and then there
didn't.
was something like somebody mentioned like a sheet and he's confused and everything. And
Yeah.
but no, I found it very interesting, the way that the author presented the story to us in jumping around the different timelines. Um, she really decided when we were going to get different information because we
Mm,
didn't find out until much later how Sam really found out that
right.
he was the
Yep.
charity at like that he was there for that. And
We
it was
didn't find out
heartbreaking.
we didn't find out a lot of things, because I think that, part of the way that he would receive information like that would, depend on his
Mhm.
mood and his like mindset at the time. And he was real screwed up. Like the reason he was in the hospital was real messed up.
Yeah.
So I kind of understand, learned that he's in the hospital because he got into a major car accident with his mother and she passed away and his foot got crushed. And so he lost like his his family. She was his family. And so I suspect, like, feeling like you can't trust a friend.
Yeah.
Probably, like, real bad time for that, Sadie.
Especially the first person that you were willing to speak to.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, all they needed to do was have a conversation that was like maybe 10 minutes longer, and it would have just, like, bygones
Yeah.
sort of
And
deal.
it's not
Isn't
like,
that just the way it always is? Whenever.
Yeah, I suppose we just need to understand that they're so immature. Like, part of the whole purpose of the
yeah.
novel is to
Yeah.
watch, like, the growth, so they're
Mhm.
immature.
You know what I just thought of?
Hmm.
I wonder how many times in real life, like, we've participated in our own
Ah,
real life miscommunication trope. Like,
no.
if only someone had just said this.
Why did you do
Like,
that to me? Now I'm going to go reevaluate every single relationship that I have and all the words
I've
I've spoken.
already been doing that all day.
Now
I
I'm
mean,
not well.
honestly, welcome to the inside of my brain.
Yeah.
But
And now I'm not well.
I wonder if there's, I mean, I know all the things I wish I had said, but what if there's things that people, if they had just said them to me,
Ugh.
would have
No,
been?
now all I can think about is that time I was in 6th grade where the teacher I'm kidding. But no, seriously. Where do you stop?
All right.
Okay, so then they finally flash forward like 10ish years, and they run into each other in the subway
Yeah.
in Boston.
Yes.
Sam is
Which
going
brings
to
us to my
college.
note about how I can't do magic eyes.
Same. Yep. So they run into
They
each
make me
other in the
dizzy.
subway, and they're looking at this big piece of art on the wall, looking at a magic eye, and Sam's like, "Oh my gosh, that's Sadie," and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's Sam," and they have a little bit of a
And he can't get her attention.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he
But they
shouts, "Sadie Green, you've died of dysentery."
Yeah.
oh
Which is a
yeah.
throwback to her and her sister and them playing Oregon Trail in the hospital.
Yep,
And so
that's right.
that's how she turns around and finds him. And then they look at
Yep.
the magic eye together. Sadie can see it, Sam cannot, but Sam pretends to see it.
Yep.
I'm under
And
the assumption it had to have been a Christmas tree or something.
I find it very interesting that in the initial time that we're in that setting, we're basically Sam. This whole book is told more in third person, but when we initially it's talking about how Sam sees Sadie, but then
Yeah.
later in the book we find out Sadie saw him first and pretended
Oh
not
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yep.
that's just so crazy to me that she was like, "Oh God, it's Sam. I'm gonna just pretend it doesn't exist and not like
I
that."
think
Yeah,
that there's like it's powerful that the author decided to have it be Sam
Yeah, even though it's
that
third
reached
person,
out
it's still,
first.
we're mostly Sam.
hmm
Yeah, because I feel like that like represents like a moment of forgiveness, like a moment of like, you know,
Yeah.
I have moved on. Hi Sadie, I know I haven't talked to you. Whatever.
Right.
So
You're a
that was
person
sort
I
of like
know.
yeah, opening the door again. So cuz that's probably why she ignored him, right? Cuz she's like last time I talked to you, you hated me.
yeah.
He
And I
So
don't want to
called
have
me
an
the
awkward
C word.
moment.
He
mhm.
called her the C word.
Oh, that's right.
I
He was
forgot
a
about
little
that.
kid and he called her a C word.
I love how in the book he's like, and I didn't know what it meant. I just knew it was bad.
I knew it was true. Right.
But that's how they get together and they decide to make video games together, which is very convenient
Yes.
because that's exactly what Sadie was going to MIT for. So
Yes.
Sam and his roommate Marks go to Harvard and Sadie goes to MIT, which I think brings us to an interlude of me reading all the things I had to Google while I read this book.
Yeah.
I didn't even try to do
Yeah.
that. I was like, ugh, forget it.
All right, there
Don't know
was
what that means.
ameliorated, a game engine, a satyr versus Chris Cornell. Like, does Chris Cornell look like a satyr? I don't know. Here's suit, Weltschmerz, palimpsest, whatever that poem was on page 106,
Yeah.
the Daojibu Samachan, the rink. I didn't
So
know that Stygian was related to the river Styx.
Stygian?
That was interesting.
I think it's Stygian, like the Stygian witches. It's like a Greek thing, right?
Yeah, I
Not that that
did not.
matters, but here's a
But a
comment that I have.
Stygian root is a river Styx thing?
I don't know, but is it worse that I didn't even bother looking these things up? I was like, oh yeah, I don't know what that means. Oh yeah, I had no idea.
I also looked
Yeah.
up if you die when a penny drops from the top of the Empire State Building onto a person. Fun fact,
That
you
was
don't. The
that
air
was
resistance slows
myth-busted.
it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Concussion, no death.
Apocryphal, bloviating, mesomorphic. The history of California's tap water in the 90s, which, by the way, horrifying. They were drinking toilet refuge water.
No.
That's why they make that reference. And I was like, oh dear
No.
God. Kenophobia, Donkey Kong arcade images. They talk about how it's great that Donkey Kong had a necktie to hide
A
his junk.
tie.
The original
Yeah.
Donkey Kong did not have a necktie,
He just
nor did he have junk.
no wiener.
Oh. And for anybody who
Libretto, Izakaya. Are there secret highways in LA? Dog breeds that look like coyotes?
Pam.
Quixotic, a Brenton hat, Zweiss, some kite, and the St. Crispin's Day speech.
Yeah. And for anybody who is listening that hasn't read it, I want to let you know that a lot of this book takes place in the 90s and the early 2000s to kind of give
Yeah.
you an idea of like technology and why our characters might not have like been able to reach each other or have social media to connect.
Oh,
So
that's
a lot of
yeah.
this is very
And been
old.
drinking toilet water.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
God.
But yeah, a lot of this is very old tech, which is also just really fun.
Man.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you notice though that some of the big vocab words like there were like a lot like packed in there at the beginning and then like towards the end it wasn't so bad, or I was getting smarter. I'm not sure what.
Bloviated popped up an awful lot. And I was like, wow, this is her favorite word.
Yeah.
All right, so reining it back in, they meet in the subway and Sadie hands Sam a disc because she created a game called Solution.
So this is interesting because I want to know, what do you think of that game? Because it was very polarizing in her engineering class. So basically what it is it's a black and white game and you're making gears and you don't know what the gears are for, but you can ask questions to find out, but you'll lose, I don't know, like power, life, whatever the thing you're trying to earn, you will lose if you ask the question.
Mhm.
However, if you just go blindly through, you gain all the like resource, whatever it is, the points, and then you get to the end having no information. And there's several ways that the game can end. So if you ask a lot of questions and lose your points, you find out what this factory is for, what it's making these things for, and you end up finding out that it's horrible. If you just ask some questions, you're kind of just like an ignoring person. But if you go straight through, you just use all of your points, you don't ask any questions, you get to the end of the game and you find out that you are a Nazi and you have been making parts for a concentration camp.
Right.
So everyone in her class was like, what a game. This one girl who I can see, she was Jewish, was absolutely horrified by it. Sadie is Jewish, not that that makes it okay to be Jewish and make concentration camp games. But my thoughts are, what an interesting game to make to show people how not asking questions and blindly going through life could lead to a problem. Because at this point, everyone knows Nazis are bad, right?
Mhm.
So when you get to the end and you're told you're a Nazi, no one wants to be told they're a Nazi.
Yeah.
So I think that it's an interesting way of pointing things out. Not what you're necessarily looking for in a video game, but I thought it was
I think
clever.
it is very clever. I think that what's cool about it is that I think you can use the word game like loosely in this one. This is more like a psychological exercise, if you will. Like nobody wins. You just like find out where you are on the like, am I enabling something? Am
Yeah.
I am I a information seeker? Am I like a quiet stand by, go with the flow type. Like, I think that you learn something about yourself and that's not really so much a game, if you will.
Right.
So I think it's probably why it got received really poorly by a lot of her peers, because like, but that's also what, like, Dove is the name of her professor at the time, who she has like a crazy relationship with, but she made this game solution for school, and Dove loves it because he thinks it's so different. But what I think solution, like, sort of, not really like foreshadows, but I would say every game that was created through the rest of the book wasn't really like a game. It all had like psychological, like help me out here. Like, you're just like
There was
Yeah,
an
moving
it
element
gives
to it where
you,
you were doing,
survival type
yes,
yeah,
stuff. Like, um,
in a way, things that they all go through, because the game that they end up creating. Oh, what was the name of it? I know I should know it. The first,
Ichigo.
yes,
Ichigo.
Ichigo,
Ichigo.
yes. So when they create Ichigo, it's about, a young child that is lost and is basically like trying to find its family and everything. It's lost in a traumatic way, and that's basically Sam.
Yeah.
He even
Yeah,
even though he was raised by his grandparents and everything, his he had a very traumatic life early on, losing his mother that way. He saw a woman fall to her death in New York and everything, and he just,
yeah,
like, all of that trauma, and then losing Sadie, who he thought was a friend and everything, with his foot and being disabled. um I feel like that's almost kind of like what the character is going through, so he really was kind of helping make a game about himself, because didn't they also say that at one point, like, Ichigo walked like Sam? Like, Sadie, like, accidentally
yeah.
made it so he
Sadie's,
walked like him.
He
yeah,
definitely looked
Sadie's
like Ichigo.
inspiration for how he walked.
Yeah. So it's, yeah, a lot of, yeah, what they ended up doing was very, it was more
It was like
like,
self-reflective, and it was like putting their traumas or struggles or journeys like in, like, creating them virtually for other people to experience. I'm sure that it had like a
yeah,
catharsis to them or for them, and it
Yeah,
like wasn't like gaming like a lot of people would like
yeah, it's definitely not,
suspect
it's not
gaming to
like a
be.
Mario type game. It's almost more like what they choose to do. It's more sim like, or like an Animal Crossing or Oregon Trail, where your choices really
Mhm.
affect the outcome and the story that you're kind of creating. Those are the
Mhm.
kind of games that they like to play.
well, yeah, except for there's less choice than like The Sims or something. It's not
Yes,
like a,
yeah,
it
It's not
does
like
have
world
a set
building.
story because you can't get past certain levels unless you do certain things. But yeah, it is more of an adventure game than it is.
yeah. But games that they end up like creating as they go on, I feel like have more of those elements. Like Mapletown is
Oh,
definitely more
Mapletown.
about like your choices and everything. Because then when they get to the point where when they have that online version and Sam like is marrying gay couples and creating all of this controversy, like Ichigo is very base level, because again, this is early 90s. There's only so much they can do, only so much code they can build. But as they go, they do tend to create more games that are, your choices are going to make your game, because
Yeah,
they're able to make that code. So as they're learning, they're able to create, and as technology is advancing, they're able to do all of that. But like, you can tell that that's their basis. Like, that's the kind of game that they're going to go towards. They're not making any like
they're not making
shooting.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, yeah, they're not making games that you're going to like sit with a big group and play. It's not going to be like game night at our house. We're going to go play Ichigo. No, that's more of like a solo, like, or like, you have like one friend
Yeah,
come over and you kind of like figure out levels together. Which is actually really nice, because Sam and Sadie, like, that's the beginning of their friendships, figuring out a level together. They're playing a Mario game and they're having trouble with a level, and they're trying to, like, to
yeah.
do that together. And so they do games that really aren't for big groups, that they want it to be just like one or two people playing.
There's a lot of full circle moments
Mhm.
in the book.
Mhm. Yeah,
There's a lot of
definitely.
things that all comes back to the 600 hours they spent in that hospital together,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and
It's
it's
funny
great.
because I mean, I'm not to like belabor what I was trying to say before, but like to me, it's like literally not even about games. It's about them trying to figure out ways to
Yeah.
express their own
Yes.
traumas and like express their own hurt and their own fears and worries and stuff like that. And it's like, and not even so much because they didn't even know that these were going to be popular. You know what I mean? Like, didn't she
Yeah.
start one
Yeah.
of them when she was still in school? And it was like later on somebody decided, oh, this is cool. So it's like they do this because they're feeling it. And then, you know, the popularity comes next. But
I would play every single one of the games that they created.
Yeah.
They all sounded like so much fun,
yeah.
and Gabrielle Zevin needs to just get
Let
in
like
touch with
Maple
some video game
World to be,
companies.
yeah.
She's
And
got some great ideas.
we haven't even touched on really who makes this all happen, who is Marks.
College friend
Mark,
Marks is
Ugh.
like the actual best character.
Yes,
one of my first notes is Mark's Watanabe must be protected at all costs.
yes,
Marks is the
and
best.
What a perfect human.
it's funny in like in the discussion we're just having, it actually makes it sound like we do kind of like Sam and Sadie. Well, at least for me, I hate them.
yes.
Like, oh,
Thank
but
you.
I hate, especially when you have Marks. Marks is just this beautiful human, and none of the story would have happened without him. And he's not considered to be a main character, but like
He's
nothing
my
would
main
have
character.
happened. Yes, but nothing would have happened without him.
That's our
You
next
know,
man crush one day.
he oh
Let's
he
go.
like,
So
he took care of everybody. He made, he gave them like a free apartment so they could sit together and
right.
make this initial game that they ended up creating a company over. And Marx is kind of the,
So
he is,
supportive.
yeah, and he's
He
like,
is like the
the
money. So Marx is the roommate of Sam, and then when they're in school, and then obviously Sadie comes back into the picture, and Marx decides to just like support Sam entirely. I think he feels bad because Sam at this point is like super disabled, can barely walk, um, and he just like happens to uh see Sam, I think, playing Sadie's solution game. And then, you know, obviously everything just like grows and grows and grows from there. They all decide that they're gonna Sam and Sadie decide to make a game together, which is the Ichigo. And then it gets unexpected success. Mark continues to support them, and then they just try to continue to make more games together. Eventually moving to California. I just wanted to give the quick little
oh
synopsis
yeah,
so we could all catch up on why we think Marx is the best. But he pays for everything and he gets them anything that they need and he says all the nice things. He's like the biggest cheerleader of all. And why he decided to be friends with any of these miserable humans is beyond
Mainly
me.
Sam is like, I'm glad. So at the end of the book, we get to find out why Marx decided to stay friends with Sam, which I'm glad we got because it was blowing my mind the whole time.
hmm
So Sam is whiny, he complains, he's pretending that he's not disabled, which I am not, so I can't even begin to understand how one might feel. But he leaves him extra food because he knows he can't afford it. He leaves extra jackets around and is like, I don't like this one anymore, or it doesn't fit me. So that way, Sam, who's from California, has a winter coat in Boston. He on purpose moves to an apartment with an elevator so Sam can have an elevator and continues to only have Sam pay what he can afford. So Marx is taking on all of it. Like he's just taking care of Sam, and Sam is so ungrateful to Marx's friendship. And it's like, sir, do you like how are you going through life thinking that this guy just like should do this for you?
One
But
of
we do
the
find out in the end that the reason Marx was so drawn to being friends with Sam is because their moms had the exact same name. and well, the exact same American name. Obviously different
See,
Japanese and Korean names.
that wasn't as heavily, like, that point wasn't as heavily obvious to me. Like, I thought that that was just like oh, cool, cute, or whatever. I didn't realize that that was
Well,
like
he made a
one of the
comment, or
driving.
yeah, he made a comment that they were basically brothers. Like
Uh,
but I mean, it's obviously it's an internal monologue. Like
mm.
while this is
Oh,
the reason why I unfortunately I had to bump it down from a 5-star.
don't say
Marx
it.
doesn't make it to the end of the book.
Oh, that's
We'll
terrible.
as like we're gonna get to the exact reasons, but he doesn't make it to the end of the book, and that's what knocked it down for me because I just love him so much. And it was towards the end of the book too, and it's like, you could have had him survive and we still would have had as great of a story. But
Yeah.
and so we find this out in his monologue.
What brought us there? So, okay, so we're hanging out in Boston. Marx is the best. Sadie and Sam are going to make a game together. Sadie has that Professor Dove I told you about who really loved Solution. And when Sadie was no longer in his class anymore, they decided to have a relationship, which, I mean,
An
professors, man.
extramarital one because he
An
was married the
extramarital
whole
one.
time.
Professors, man. She was only like 19. But horrible relationship, right? Like Dove ended up being super abusive and whatnot. And then part of the reason that they ended up being successful is because Sadie went back to Dove to borrow some software to
The
write
software engine.
Mm-hmm.
a software engine that Dove had created to write future games. And so that's a little bit of where some more drama came in. Obviously, we find out later on that Sadie realizes that Sam knew that she had a shitty relationship with Dove, and he sent her back to Dove anyway to get the software engine. So the one of the major falling outs that they had on later in the book is after all of the success and whatnot that they had, she realizes that Sam knew all along
That he
that
was
she
sending her
had been
back
with
to an
Dove.
abuser.
Yeah, that she had been with Dove, and he was sending her back to an abuser just to get the software engine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But then, yeah. So, and what are they writing then? That was after Ichigo, right? That
Yeah,
was,
Ichigo became a big success, and they
and
got bought, and they were creating their studio. They had Unfair Games, and then
Mm-hmm.
eventually they go to California to expand. So
yeah,
they'd made the first 2 Ichigos.
And they also go out to California because Sam is having so many issues with his foot. That accident that he was
Yeah.
in as a
oh
child,
yeah,
completely like shattered his foot. And as all the pins and stuff that he has going out are creating all sorts of havoc. And they're realizing that he needs, he basically needs to get it amputated. And physically being in California as opposed to New York might make his recovery a little bit easier because you're not dealing with cobblestones in the winter and everything. So again, Sam doesn't realize how good he has like these people in his life because they
Yeah.
make the decision to like it's for Sam. Like they
Right.
say it's that there's like more opportunities for gaming and whatnot, but a big part
Which is also
is for
true.
Sam.
Yeah.
Like
right,
they're like, yeah, there's like he'll have more support because he has his family out there and everything while
yeah.
he's getting surgery. Like
And
so,
at this point, Sadie and Sam are on good terms. She's not pissed at him yet.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, they're on good terms. But yeah, but they all like I think she wanted to stay in New York though, or Boston. Sorry, she wanted to stay
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
Boston, but she did that for Sam,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
I don't think he ever really
But
appreciated any
Well,
of
because
it.
he tells himself they're doing it to get her away from Dove.
right.
Yeah,
Which then, of course, she's like, "But you had me go to him."
Right.
But again, when that all comes up, she finds out that he knew all along that she had been dating Dove, or that she had been dating Dove, and that he was the one that was abusive, and that he sent her along to get the software engine anyway. And like gets pissed like the day that he has surgery, and then decides he can just go himself, and she's not going to see him anymore. And
Yeah.
it's like once
And then
again
they
the
don't talk for
like
years.
miscommunication brings us to like levels of like unrealistic to me, because I'm like, literally they just needed to talk. In what world does a person just like, does this really happen? People just completely shut down and don't communicate a single feeling, and instead they
I
just
have,
like don't talk to a person for years based on assumptions. There's like not even
I won't
Yeah.
say his
rational
name
human
on the
behavior.
podcast, but I
Oh
have a friend
boy.
who does that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
We can talk about
Will
that
not
offline.
talk to me if he's mad at me.
Yeah.
So they're in California and they're super successful, like big money, big money, big money, and then like more games and bringing in new designers and all of these things. And then Sam ends up traveling the world because Sadie doesn't want to. And then Sadie gets
Which
mad again.
she also kind of can't, because they've now, with the deal that they've taken, she has to work on creating the next game, and she's basically the software engineer.
She makes
Sam
everything. Let's
is
be
Yeah.
honest.
Sam's like the creative and the artist, and
Sadie does
she's the
everything.
software
She's
engineer.
the
So
brains. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, so she's making these games, and then Sam's getting all the credit for it because he's the one going out, which
She
that
did
also
not want
causes
to go,
problems.
though. She also
No,
did not want to go.
but I mean, she does deserve a lot more credit than him because she's
Yeah.
physically making the game.
Sure.
Mhm.
I feel like she had the assumption, though, that Sam wasn't giving her credit. Like, she was, like, just assuming that he was taking all
Yeah.
the credit. Which,
When it
one
was
thing
the
that...
press.
I guess
Right.
again, it was the 90s when
You
I mean,
didn't have
even now,
Instagram or... Yeah.
but she was also a woman in the 90s doing video games.
Yeah,
Even
true.
now, that's a difficult thing for some people to understand because, like, oh, if you ever say you play video games, yes, I am the stereotype. I play Animal Crossing and Dreamlight Valley. But like, if you say you play video games, like nobody ever assumes that like a woman is playing more
Yeah.
like hardcore
Uncharted.
games. Yeah, they're not like,
Let
like a
alone
World
writing
of
them.
Warcraft.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of it too. They're all just being like, "Oh, you're bringing up this girl just to be
Oh, and
nice
then they're
and
like, are you
everything."
together? You must be together if you keep bringing her up. Yeah. They
Yeah.
thought they were in
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah. Like, a woman can't just be awesome on her own. Like,
Yeah, she's clearly only involved because she's sleeping with her partner.
right.
Like that's the only reason why.
Which
Which they're not.
brings us to
Oh,
Sadie and
Marks.
Marks get together, but
Oh,
Marks
Marks.
wanted to get with Sadie way back in the Boston apartment days, but Sam said no and was like,
Yeah.
"No, you can't date Sadie."
I mean, he also does try to be like, "You're too much of a player for her." Like,
Marks was a
Think of
player.
all the years Marks and Sadie could have had together if it
I
wasn't
think
for
no.
it happened
Sam.
when it should have, though, because she was with Dove. He wasn't like, she wasn't done with Dove yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he had, and he was with somebody like that basically taught him that he could have a long-term relationship because he was just kind of a hookup guy before.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
why
Zoe. I like Zoe.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Zoe,
So
she was
like
cute. She's
it
another
was
reason they went to California.
exactly like so I think it was really good that Marks was with Zoe for that period of time. Like he taught her she taught him a lot about how to like be a supportive partner.
Yeah, she helped him become even better than he already was.
Yes, like to become an actual adult because while he is always great, he's also at some point just like the typical kind of college fuckboy trying to get with as many girls as he can. Like he does that so much in college. So
Yeah.
he needs time to grow. So I think in a sense
It was
Sam
good
was
timing.
trying to protect Sadie because he didn't want Sadie to just be like another 2 week girl.
I do think,
Yeah.
though, that Sam also was very confused about how he felt about Sadie for a very, very long time. He
Yeah, he
also,
Yeah.
didn't
like,
realize he loved her till it was way too many bridges burned.
and then, but
Mhm.
then I also don't think that he realized in what way he loved her, because there was a part of it too where he was talking about like how he didn't really have much of a sex drive and
Yeah.
didn't really have any romantic notions or whatever, but he knew he loved Sadie. Does that mean we're supposed to be together? So I think he was just like also trying to keep her for himself a little bit, even though he didn't know what that meant.
Yeah, he was possessive of her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, All right, so now we're in California. Sadie doesn't talk to Sam anymore because she's mad at him and more miscommunication and big feelings. Sam feels like he grows up a little bit when he tries to communicate with her a little bit better, but at this point they're all just like really rich and famous because of their video game stuff. And then what is it? While Sam is out like promoting something or meeting somebody about
So they
a new
make a
game.
game for Sadie,
Yeah.
and it's called Both Sides, which
Yes.
also helps with the art that is this book. So the section of the book is broken up into sections, and there's chapters within the sections, and each section has almost like a different theme to how it's written. And Both Sides is written from both sides. So it's written like chapter 1A is Sam, chapter 1B is Sadie, the exact same moment in conversation. It's the best section in the whole book. And they're making this game called Both Sides. So it's a character in real life in Mapletown who is sick and has cancer and is named for Sadie's sister Alice, who lives, by the way, that just in case we didn't mention that. And then Sadie's creating I can't remember the name of the other place.
Oh crap, I can't either.
Yeah, and so the alternate universe, and then the character is a superhero, and it's a really cool concept, but the game absolutely flops, and everyone seems to hate one side or the other of the game, and that's the reason why it flopped. And so Sadie is mad at Sam because she thinks he tanked the game on purpose because he wasn't putting in enough effort, but turns out he just wasn't coming to work because he was really suffering after his foot surgery and just didn't want to tell anybody. And then he ends up making another miscommunication. So then he ends up making like an online world, like a live role playing game.
Yep.
Where you can go on, and he makes it Mapletown, which I think is because that part was the part everyone liked better, I think.
Meyer
was his part.
Landing is the other
Thank you.
other side.
I
There we
found
go,
it. Yeah,
Myers
Meyer
Landing.
Yeah.
And then so it's this online interactive thing, and his little avatar, it's Sam, his avatar is the mayor of Mapletown, and he's running it, and he's who you go and you talk to and get your jobs and things. But then eventually they have some other other game creators who are gay and in a relationship, and then it's when marriage was not legal for everyone in the country, because again, the late 90s. And so they go to San Francisco, they have a wedding, and then some government, I don't remember which one it is, decides that San Francisco had no right to do that, so the marriages are null. So Sam makes the mayor of Mapletown able to marry people in the game. So these people are married in the game, and naturally bigots have a problem with it. And people start leaving the game, and
Yeah, they've created an online community where you can like go and interact with other people by that point.
Yeah. And people are mad.
People are so mad.
People are so big mad that they go looking for Sam.
Sam and Sadie go off to promote another game, which I don't even remember what that one is. Ichigo 3, I think, at that point, right? They go to
Maybe.
book something for
No.
Ichigo 3.
Oh yeah, it was a different one. I can't remember.
It was a different game because I don't think they ever ended up making Ichigo. Well, somebody came to them and wanted
At the very
to make
end,
Ichigo
they
3.
wanted to.
But they're promoting
Right. Someone else
a
is
different
making it.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But sorry,
Is it the
continue.
one that so they're Sam and
promoting a
Sadie are
game,
off,
yeah.
but like the rest of the Unfair Games crew is there. And one day someone shows up looking for Sam, but it's just Marks, who's like head honcho there.
How can I help you?
And it turns out that it is two people in bandanas with some pew-pews. And
Yeah.
Marks has everyone in the building go to the roof, and he goes down to handle it. And it's going as smoothly as something like that could possibly go
Yeah.
while he's trying to prove that Sam is not, in fact, there.
Yeah, and then, yep.
And then Anton, one of the game
Side
developers,
character. Yeah.
comes downstairs, and the bad guys assume that he's Sam, which I find interesting because when I was reading it, I read it Hispanic, not half Korean. But they're also hateful people. So
They were just
then
mad
they
and angsty. They
go
wanted to shoot
to
something.
unalive Anton, and Marks jumps in the way.
Yeah. And then there's actually this really beautiful
Oh, yeah.
Mark's montage. That's actually really lovely. And the entire time we were in those pages, I was like gut wrenched because I'm like, uh-oh.
It was
like
called
alluding
NPC, so
to
non-playing character.
Yeah, it was alluding to him being able to pull out of it, but it was basically Mark's just in this like dreamlike like state during the
Coma.
whole.
Yeah.
He was in a coma, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And so, he was just like observing everybody around him and just like reflecting, like while he was unconscious, and then obviously it ends with him never waking up. And that is when I threw the book, and I was like, the damn one redeeming quality of this book is dead. And then I cried a little bit.
I did shed some tears for Marks.
Mark's was the best. It made me sad. But then, of course, the really cool thing is that we find out Sadie was pregnant.
And luckily, we
And
find out that Marks knew.
Mark's knew, which I don't know how. Like, that was that. I guess, yeah.
Yeah,
I guess he
I think
knew.
on the business trip, like on the Sadie and Sam business trip, they it's like day 3, day 5. So like I don't know, maybe on day 4, Sadie
Well,
and
she
Marks had
did.
a phone call.
I don't know. That is like a really big stretch for me too, especially because evidently he like texted them in the middle of him almost getting shot, and I don't know where he found
Yeah.
the time to do that either. But in any case, Mark's died, and Sadie kind of blames Sam for that, and Sadie's also pregnant and miserable, and so
I mean,
Basically
it's
never comes back to work.
never comes
yeah,
back to work.
and I
Things
can
really fall
understand.
apart at that
Yeah,
point.
I can understand why Sadie blamed Sam. It wasn't his fault. He
Right.
didn't, he didn't send them there, but they were looking for him. So it's
Mm.
it's one of those things when you just get into that emotional state. The person that you love has just died. You're about to have their child, and they're dead because they were looking for the other person standing in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna blame that
It's
person.
part of grief,
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I think Sam actually did take that pretty well. Like he didn't try to fight her on it. He just kind of let her have those emotions and didn't try to like explain anything about it. He just let her have that because,
Yeah.
like I said,
I think
in a sense she's right. Like,
you're right.
well, not in a sense, they were looking for him, but I
Yeah.
think I think part of her does know, it's while they were looking for him, like, he didn't pull the trigger. But
Yeah.
it's
I
just
think
really hard to separate that.
it's
It
also evident that it's really easy for Sadie to be mad at Sam. So it probably
Yeah.
felt
yeah.
like a really natural reaction to her. Like it just felt easy to just blame Sam because she just
Mhm.
blames Sam for everything. And back
And a
to
lot of
more
times you blame your
reasons.
comfort person.
Yeah, except I was just never fully convinced that he was her comfort person. Like I don't
No.
understand their friendship.
Well, I think it's not even that it's a comfort person. It's just like it's the person that
You're
has
familiar
known
with
her, yeah,
like
that you've known the longest and that like has seen you at some very highs and lows and that you kind of know you can unload on and that they're not going to completely disown you for it.
it's just one of those scenarios where you just like meet somebody and you happened to like you happen to like create a friendship with them, and then it just like sticks, and there's really no explanation for it. They just happened to be there at the same time you were, and then you know and then the friendship lasts. But
Yeah.
if they were to like actually hand choose friendships for themselves, they probably never would have chosen each other.
But
So
it ends in a very full circle moment because, well, I guess not a completely full circle, just full to their gaming life. They Sadie eventually goes and takes over Dov's uh, professor job, and she's teaching in Boston. And Sam goes out, and they do a cute little "You've died of dysentery,"
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and
thank God for
like, "Hey,
dysentery.
want to make a game together?" kind of a thing, just like what happened in the subway. And
Yeah.
she buys her daughter Magic Eye books and sends them to Sam, who still can't see them.
Yeah. And she gives a really cute moment where she tries to explain to him how you do it and everything. And
Yeah. That was cute.
unfortunately, Sam's grandfather passes away and leaves the Donkey Kong game to Sadie, and so she ships it out to her apartment, or no, to her office in Boston, which was just really cute. Like, because a game brought them all together, and the grandfather really tried to keep their friendship going when they were young, when they were fighting. So it was really cute that he made sure that she got that game in the end.
Yeah. And it brought them back together.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
they did have a
that was
really
cute.
cute moment, as we kind of touched upon there, when Sam said that, we think that he loved her at one point and everything. They actually do have a conversation in the book, like, why didn't we ever get together?
Yeah.
And I personally love that, because you don't see a lot of books that have, like, a boy and a girl childhood friend that, they always have to grow up to be lovers. It always has to
I
be the
know.
childhood friends to lovers. It was nice that they could just be childhood friends to friends.
I do agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I did like that.
Yeah.
That they just
And
remained
especially that
friends.
they talked about it. Like, it's one thing that it just happened, but they talked about it, because it's something that you just always wonder whenever, like, anytime
Yeah.
throughout
Oh, they're
history,
gonna hook
like,
up? They're gonna hook up?
yeah, I mean, even
Yeah.
as adults, anytime you have, like, a friend of the opposite gender, everybody's like, oh, what's going on there? And
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be that.
Yeah.
No, and everyone's always like, "You guys would be so perfect together." And it's like,
And it's like, well, we
or
are. You
we're
can be
friends.
as friends. Yeah.
That's why it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will
So,
say, so the way obviously the full circle ending was, I thought that by the end, when they were reconnecting again back in Boston, when Sadie's working as a professor, that they had both grown up quite a bit. It's obviously maybe having a kiddo changed Sadie a little bit and gave her some different perspectives. I'm not sure. She seemed to be a little bit more rational about how things had gone down, and feelings and whatnot. But what I will say is that, damn it, when they wanted to make another game together, and I was like, did you not learn?
yeah.
Did you learn nothing? Why do you need to make another game together? Why can't you just have
No.
dinner and play Donkey Kong?
Right.
Just play Oregon Trail and call it a day. You
But
don't
maybe
need to.
now that they're more adults, they can do it.
I don't know. I think we're going to find tomorrow and
I
tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, and it's going to be them killing each other. The sequel to Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow.
I think that, yeah, it would be. Oh, that reminds me. The title of the book is a speech from Macbeth, and Marx was in
Oh,
the
that's
plays, and he
right.
always wanted to play Macbeth.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there were a lot of little nuances in there that we didn't chat too much about because it would take way too long. But yeah, Marx and
Yeah.
his theater.
I mean, we've already chatted for quite some time about this book, because we obviously have some big feelings about it.
Well, you know what we should do though? We should do the fun stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
So everybody, we're going to do this thing. At the end of every podcast, we're going to spin a wheel with all kinds of fun options on it. And whatever we land on, we're going to like apply that to a little conversation, a new little conversation that we're going to have about the book. Lots of silly stuff. I'm kind of nervous about some of them, especially depending on future reads.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's
if
give it a
you
try.
follow us on Instagram, you will have seen a picture of our first round draft of the wheel. We have since perfected it.
Oh yeah, so perfect. Do you need me to do a real drum roll? Because I can't do that either. Oh, there we go.
There we go. And then you hear the wheel spin.
It's a very long
Oh,
spin.
you can hear it?
Oh.
We need to give a self-care tip based on
Like the overall impression. I would say self-care tip based on the overall impression. Therapy. Go get yourself some counseling.
yes.
I mean, I think some self-care, just find a game that you can get lost in. Like,
Yeah.
it's sometimes you need to escape. You know, you can escape by reading a book. Sometimes you can just find a little game that has an exciting little world. Just go get lost in a game.
Yeah.
And mine would be go explore a museum, because in the book, Sam and Sadie go to a glass-blown art exhibit.
Yeah.
Or is it Mark's?
Real?
Mark's and Zoe maybe do that.
That flowers
But yeah,
one?
so that my self-care tip is go wander around a museum.
Yeah.
Alone.
My self-care tip also is that if you need to get your foot amputated, you should do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
To avoid the risks of
He had some not great things.
Sepsis. Yeah. So yeah, therapy and amputation. Those are my tips.
Oh, God.
All right. We would love to hear your thoughts on Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. Let us know if you've read it. What did you think? Share your thoughts with us at Books Just Want to Have Fun, with a period between each word, on Threads and Instagram. And maybe we'll say what you said if we like it. I don't know.
Yeah, leave suggestions.
Yeah, leave us any book suggestions that you may have. Even if it's one that we might not discuss in the podcast, it could be some that we end up reading on our own. The three of us, while we do like to discuss books together, we all have very different reading tastes. So one might work for one of us and the other. We are going to have some episodes for you guys where we're going to talk about some of the books that we're individually reading that won't get spoilery, just to give you guys some suggestions.
Those are our read and ramble episodes.
Yes, so we'll have those. Join us for our next rambling book review of My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, which should be wonderful for spooky season. Until then, happy reading.